good morning. I am Sonali Jindal. I am the founder of a startup called as Rezolv. We are an India-based company building in the space of collections. So collections generally, I'm sure all of you know, is a taboo topic. Everybody wants to talk about business, sales, risk. Nobody wants to talk about collections. People think collections is a dirty business. But here I am, standing in front of you, along with a lot of industry veterans who come with a very deep experience on risk and collections, talking about a taboo topic, which is collections. Why don't I quickly start with introductions to the panel, and then maybe some of my questions in terms of what is really changing the landscape of collections and what is also bringing interest in an area which was always neglected. Why don't we start with you, sir?
So my name is Fateh. I am head of credit risk review in Investbank, and before that I worked for the National Bank of India and Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank in the same capacity. But that role was mostly on the approval side. Now this is on the credit risk review side.
Good morning, everyone. I am Kaushal, and I am head of collections and recovery for Deem France. It's a privilege and honor to represent my company. I have almost 2 decades of experience managing the collection space, both with banks and the NBFCs. Looking forward.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and good morning. And my name is Yameen, Ghani. I'm from Dubai Islamic Bank, Karachi. My whole career of banking industry starts from Karachi, starting from Muslim Commercial Bank, National Bank, Faisal Bank, Bank Al Habib. So last with JS Bank and now with Dubai Islamic Bank since January 25. So I would like to thank Jamal and the team, the future event team, the panel we had yesterday, the whole session. It was a very interactive session. Lot of learning opportunity was present. The sponsors deserve a special thanks because I think the main players start from the sponsoring, the team engagement and everything. The moderator was also very helpful. A very interactive session was done yesterday throughout the day. So congratulations to the team as well. So
thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kostin. I'm Chief Risk Officer at Yuna Financial Group. We operate in Central and Southeast Asia. So I'm really excited to exchange my experience and the experience of our group with the colleagues, and really ready to learn something new. So thank you, and let's start.
Thank you everyone for the introductions. The experience that all the gentlemen come with, I think that will lead to a very, very enriching discussion. There are 2 things that we would want to bring up from this panel. One is the role, or what is the definition of collections, right? What does early intervention mean? What does collections truly mean, and how is it beyond just field and calling? The other angle that we would want to bring in this discussion is to say that what is the role of compliance? Because as soon as you talk about collections, people say that there is an underlying risk of collecting the customer. So what is the role that compliance has to play in this domain? So that is what the panel will try to bring out. Why don't I start with Mr. Fateh? The first question for you is that what is the landscape of collections in Middle East, and what are the innovative things that banks are doing to approach the problem of collections, which is very, very different than how traditionally collections has been done?
Yeah, thank you, Sonali. Yeah, this is really a very good question, and perhaps in our everyday life we are facing. Now, currently the landscape in Middle East is that perhaps most of the people who are working in the local banking industry, they would be aware that now the consumer protection regulations are in place. So there is a lot of pressure on the financial institutions to behave ethically while dealing with the customer. So on one side, that regulatory pressure is there. The other side, particularly in the Middle East, now we traditionally face the risk of escaping the borrower. So those sort of things are also there. Now the third angle is coming into the play, and that is the ESG compliance thing, which we will perhaps in the later part of discussion we will discuss. Now under this landscape, the important thing is that in today's world of technology and AI, can we segment our borrower innovatively? If we can do that, perhaps that would be a game changer. And how is that? Because instead of doing the analysis and the transactional analysis and the reminders and those sort of traditional things, if we can proactively through the modeling sort of thing, predictive modeling with AI, if we can segment our borrower, that who are willing to pay and who are not willing to pay. If they are willing to pay, but at the same time they have the financial difficulties, but they are not able to pay. There are borrowers who are neither willing to pay, but they have the capacity to pay, but they are not willing to pay. So there would be a different approach for that. So if we have this sort of segmentation, perhaps most of our problem in the financial industry and also on the collection side would be resolved. Now the second part is that if we can do the rapid portfolio analysis, that what are my borrowers who are at the verge of default or who are facing the risk. So how to handle that proactively. So if we can make this decision that who are at the verge of default and they are not able to pay, and how proactively we can help them, perhaps most of the problem would be resolved. But after making this decision, we need not to sit behind and relax and okay, fine, this is what the analysis is. There is time for quick decision making. Okay, that these are the borrowers who are willing to pay but not able to pay because of their family circumstances, business circumstances, some other genuine reasons. So these will be those borrowers where we can go ahead and do the rescheduling, that can we extend your expiry date of line of credit? Can we do that? Okay, this is done. Now the other would be where we have to restructure because perhaps the payment terms are not enough. But there would be third thing in place, the third component, who are neither willing to pay and they are not paying. So why to waste your effort in convincing them and negotiation and those sort of things? Straight away go to the legal or go to that thing. Now once that is done, the most important thing which all of us, and since yesterday there is lots of discussion on that there should be targeted communication and ethical communication. Now historically we all know when I started, the tone of our reminder was very harsh. Pay it, otherwise you will face the consequences. Now that era has changed. Now if the targeted messaging is there with empathetic tone, that we are here to help you out. Sir, if you are facing any issue, please let us know. So engage your borrower and at the same time look at the transactional history. And if both of these things are done, then we would be able to sustain the relationship. Because if the borrower, and unfortunately historically this was one of the problem which we faced, that if the borrower have the confidence and trust in the financial institution and in the relationship, that is something that not only this temporary problem would be resolved and we will be able to recover our money back, but at the same time we will be able to safeguard our relationship and to sustain the relationship. So to me, I think that with this new era of modeling and AI and technology, if we proceed ahead and do the segmentation and then do the personalized strategy for those borrowers, so both of these things would be resolved. And then also with ESG, so the game is a bit complex because there is bombardment of the regulations and the regulators are also very sensitive about that, and at the same time, so traditional things will not work anymore.
Mr. Fateh, I think I feel very good to hear people in Middle East also talking the same language about collections that we talk in India. And on a lighter note, I think a solution to all your problems is implementation of Rezolv. So this became an inspiration for why we started Rezolv, because the problems that Mr. Fateh is talking about, right? The ethic or ethical collections along with customer segmentation and centricity are truly the buzzwords on collections, and implementation of that is very, very critical. That leads me to a question for Konark. The approach towards collections, and also going back to the point that Mr. Fateh was making, it has to be a very proactive approach in terms of doing collections rather than resolving the account when it becomes 90 plus. So on this proactive engagement, Konark, what are your thoughts and how do you think that the proactive engagement truly goes a long way in terms of creating customer centricity?
Thanks, Sonali, for the question. Before I proceed, the two parts of the question on the proactive approach and the the results of those approach, I will give you the context because I think everyone here is sharing the experience, and I'm going back to your first question where you said that collections is a taboo. As in my thoughts are quite different. I think collection starts from the moment you open your eyes. In fact, every person in this room, they are collecting the experiences from others, and that's what we build in, right? Now, before I move to the question, giving you some context about where I come from. So, I'm part of Deem Finance, which is the leading NBFC. Gargash Group has taken over, acquired Deem Finance in 2021, and earlier this year, we had one of the first securitization in the country with JP Morgan, which allows us to give a platform to scale up. Now, what's the role of NBFC? I think we are the catalyst. We basically push the banks, and at the same time, we also take care of the customers who are not served by the banks, right? Now, coming back to UAE, we have a consumer finance debt of almost 500 billion, and to ensure that the financial inclusion is there, Deem Finance plays a vital role. Now, being proactive, I will park this question and I probably want to ask a couple of questions from the audience. Do we have any doctors in the audience? Any doctors? Raise your hand. Any doctor?
Some doctor who became a collector later.
No one? No worries. Any twins? Do we have any twins?
I would like to add here something. I'm sure that there will be no doctors from the audience, but when you are dealing different customers, different experience, different challenges, so a financial
Nicely said, Mr. Ghani.
Diagnosis is what helps us.
Yes, and I'll tell you what's the best prescription what doctor would say. He will not prescribe you medicine. The best prescription is no medicine, and that's where it comes to financial industry. The best collection is no collection. And that's where the proactive approach, which needs to be pragmatic, comes through. Now, you might have, if you hear the credit and collection people talk, they talk a lot of data. We basically get exposed to data and we love data, we're passionate about data. But when it comes to individual, that individual carries, tons of data load. We talk about artificial intelligence, which basically needs to be trained by exposing data. But we tend to forget the real people who make those conversions into real life experience. So I'm talking about the natural intelligence which people have, and AI is there to support. So the first part of the question in terms of the proactive approach, I'm a big fan of preventing, not just because we want to save money, but also because we want to save the relationship. If you see, the pillar of collections and credit is the cost. The cost of acquisition of any product is way too high. And yes, and because of the product we are dealing with, what we sell is money, right? And in fact, what we are not selling, we are buying the risk from the market, right? So when you are buying that risk, and when you are an MBST, when you are the most aggressive player, when you are challenging the status quo, your risk mitigation needs to be having an absolute framework which can build on these pillars. So being proactive, there are a lot of scorecards. AI has made the life easy, but the idea is not to just collect money, but to understand the reasons of default. So the approach is PCR. P stands for preventive, C is for curing, and R is for recovery. Now, behind these three pillars, there stands a team which capitalizes on the data and analytics, and obviously in compliance with the regulations, because eventually if you see long-term goal of any regulator is to make the life easy for not just the borrower, but also for the lender. And I think so that's the approach we follow. And if you want to understand the results, because of this fundamental shift in terms of the approach, we managed to control the interest rate by almost 50% over the last 3 years, and we also managed to recover the highest in last 17 years. As in, I have a fantastic team sitting right in front of me. Raise your hands. So we managed to beat some 17 years performance, and any credit analyst will tell, it's basically the time value of money. It's a race against the aging. So as the account ages, the propensity for that customer to pay back is really less. But we managed to breach and set those benchmarks, and again, human driven, but also with a lot of data and analytics.
Interesting. I think, Konark, a very, very important point that you made, right? See, a lot of people want to talk about preventive, but I think you are, or your organization is one of the examples where preventive strategies have worked. Because whenever you are in boardrooms or conference rooms, people will say, I start doing collections at the early stages. But when you ask them or drill deeper, they will say, no, I start at the stage when the customer becomes NPA. So my larger point is that all of these preventive actions backed with data truly add a lot of power to collections.
I will
Moving
add,
on to
before
Yameen.
Sonali turns turn to me for the audience, I would just like to add a little more from my colleague, that a doctor gives you a prescription, probably it gives you a high prescription, but a banker gives you a restructuring terms of a repayment that acts the same way as a doctor gave you a high antibiotic and then you feel relaxed. So I think the repayment terms, the restructuring terms, which makes you relax from the repayment of that index, that's plays the same role as a prescription as well.
Yeah, I think the next question is for you. A very, very valid argument. See, we are talking a lot about customer segmentation, customer centricity. So the question for you is that how does one balance the firmness that comes with collections, right? Ultimately, you're responsible for a P&L and you need to collect money. So how do you balance the firmness with a long-term customer relationship value that one wants to create? Because today, I think the theme is compliance, being soft with the customer, but it is also equally important that the P&L in terms of risk reflects the right number. So how does one get that balance in place?
Thank you, Sonali. And I was waiting since yesterday to come and speak my share of experience, because obviously different markets, different country have a different flavor of experience, the good and the bad part of the credit lending. And I agree that actually the customer engagements does not start when the customer gets into the problem. The engagement has to be done from the day one, and that is the sustainability of a long-term relationship. If you are engaging with your customer, either it's a consumer loan. In Pakistan, we have consumer loan, we have agri loan, we have a fleet financing, a separate department running in all the banks. We have the SME financing break up into the two segments, that is the SE part and the ME part, and then we have the corporate financing, that is again break up into the long-term syndicate financing and the regular corporate customer financing. So the engagement session starts the day you met the customer from the first time. And that's how you have to manage that relationship, that it gives the result the institution expect, and obviously a very reasonable suggestions and advice to the customer as well, because at times we becomes more aggressive from a lending perspective. So it has to be a very balanced and a dual role that the banker has to play, and the long-term sustainability and the long-term fairness and the firmness both are integral part of the long-term relationship sustainability. If you are doing a relationship, either it's a person loan relationship or a corporate lending relationship, it has to be balanced approach for the institution and for the customer as well. When I started my career from MCB, my principal from the staff college, he teaches us the 5 C's of the credit. That is the character, the capacity, capital, the conditions, and the collateral as well. So I think all goes parallel with the interaction, because the day the relationship starts, I think that is the main challenge for you to keep the customer awareness and to have all the tools that keeps the credit into the entire satisfaction of your parameters with your SOPs and with the regulator parameters as well. Because provisioning is not targeted It's obviously unforeseen, an expectation, but with engagement, rightly engagement with the customer, assessing the customer challenges, the real cash flow challenges that can happen. So that makes an end result into saving from a loss to a sustainable relationship.
Thank you, Mr. Yameen. I think one of the biggest things that is coming out is that there is always a choice between blind bombarding versus intelligent intervention. Depending on what your organization is and what your choices are, you end up putting processes around it, but it is high time that we make that choice. I think, Tim, the next one is for you. The question is about, we are talking about segmentation, we are talking about the use of AI. The question is that how are banks engaging with technology and analytics partners in Middle East? I mean, what is the level of engagement that is happening with the people who are offering technology and analytic solutions to the banks?
Yeah, thank you. Of course, you can do everything inside. It's maybe even a good idea because in this case you manage everything and you're responsible for all decisions you did. But sometimes external experience and external forces is really appreciated. I give you an example. We used to try to buy our own speaking bots and more or less succeed in this way. We use AI, we try to teach them to speak properly with the people, and we receive some increase in collections and some good response from the clients. But after that, we have a, let's say, a robot battle. We test our robots against the robots which designed by the third-party firms. Unfortunately, our robot falls. Yeah, and after that we decide not spend the time for building robots because it's not our core business. Just to sign the contract and use the external robots to help us in collection fields. And what it's improved, to be honest, we can allocate our data science resources to more business problems inside, just to design more robust segmentation, dynamic segmentation, to design some additional tools and so on. But robots will be fully managed by the other companies, and we just give them the exact specific requirements from our side, what we'd like to receive from them. It's one of good examples. Another is that some startups suggest a very robust, interesting solutions, but we don't have enough money to maybe represent it to the whole market. We try to find some, this kind of firms and sign the contract with them to implement and to test their technology in our products, in our process. Would give us the very cheap solutions, and for them the place where they can test and improve their solutions. I think this is a very good place where they gather it together profit to us and to the AI companies.
Interesting. And this slightly more inward approach, where the approach is to develop things in-house, is this an approach that is followed across Middle East, or specific institutions follow this approach?
I think it can be used anywhere, no restriction.
Understood. In the interest of time, I think to summarize this session, right, what I would request our panelists to do is maybe leave one thought each with the audience here in terms of what is it that they should implement in collections as they are thinking about the collections of 2030 or 2050. Mr. Fateh, to you.
Thank you, Sonali. Yeah, because as I mentioned earlier, the thought for us is that proactive sort of approach, if we adopt that instead of sitting back and thinking on our traditional analysis style. So one is the proactive approach. The second one is on the regulatory side, that most of us feel that perhaps there is a lot of regulatory pressure. But if you go to the conduct, the responsible banking conduct, the regulator is not asking you anything additional except that be professional, be respectful, be transparent, don't twist the arm, try to understand the situation on the ground, and through this way you are able to safeguard your relationship, you are able to sustain the relationship. So on both sides, if the behavioral analysis is there, if the proactive approach analysis is there, and if we are able to understand the trend, the preferences, the needs, the desire, the challenges of our customer. So if on one side that proactive approach, and the other side, if we do not consider the regulation as the burden, rather that the regulation asks you that to safeguard the relationship, be respectful and professional and honest, provide honest opinion to your borrower, okay? And I have seen this. I have seen that in the financial recession of 2008-9, many of the borrowers, we were one of the bank who approached the borrower that, okay, no need to skip the country, stay here, we are willing to restructure, okay, we know your circumstances. And that was the sort of long-term dividend which we got from the customer and the loyalty from the customer. So I think that if these two things we are able to implement, this is something which should be the future approach.
Thank you, Konark.
Thanks, Fateh. I will try to build on what Fateh mentioned, right, and cover the points which are, more or less forgotten a lot of time. When you look at most of the banks and NBFCs and when they have the NPAs, now, thinking about the last mile, these portfolios are managed by a lot of agencies, and some of the banks in the region runs with more than 40, 50 agencies, right? Now, the catalyst is that how fast can you transfer this information to the last leg, who basically is doing the part. So the debt collector in an agency, how fast can you give him all this information so that he can give that prescription and give you a solution which works out. And that's where the technology plays the role. And one of the again success story which I can share is that we managed to do this with Nucleus, and we managed to go live in less than 90 days, and basically we touched about almost 150 users across 15 agencies. Right? Now, I think the same approach needs to go to the banks, because the kind of information which has been captured, especially during the origination period, how is that information reaching out to the last person so that he can, make a calculative and much more, thought decision. So that will be the key. And obviously, when with the market dynamics, where every now and then you keep hearing, new things coming, new technological advances which are coming, the reality lies in terms of the execution and the ROI. So what's your return on investment? Do you really need to go for it, or you have to wait and watch? So I think that will be the key in coming time.
Konark, I completely agree. Again, a thing that we've taken care of in Rezolv is to ensure that the entire context of what has happened on the case, whether it is at the time of underwriting, whether it is at the time when the loan was disbursed, whether it is the case that moved from telecalling to field, collector 1 to collector 2, all of that gets captured. So the power of collections is having access to data, and that really makes, that really adds exponential value to what you end up collecting on the field.
Sonali, to add on, based on your presentation yesterday, where you talked about, integrating the core banking system to collection system. In fact, we have done that. So all the core banking systems, be it card management system, load management system, and CRM, including the legal and the settlement tool, everything has been integrated into one single system. So no matter when the customer comes in, everybody has the entire information about those customers. So I
think kudos to you. A lot of institutions in the country, and I'm sure across the world, would not have implemented it, but that is the true power of data coming together.
I would like to add that actually the repayment, the overall history of the customer, I think it's very important. The first slip of 10 days or 15 days needs to have a very critical review why the delay has come. We at times take it a very casual delay, but I think the first signal is the most important signal. In Pakistan, we have a electronic credit information bureau report that gives you the customer repayment history starting with a delay of 15 days plus. So I think that is the most critical area we all need to review, irrespective of the loan size, irrespective of the relationship size, because that is the first signal where you get an early warning stage, an early warning signals that makes you an extra alert, and actually the engagement should start from that day when the first delay of 10 to 15 days occurred, so that that delay should not proceed towards a further delay. If that is, being handled very interactively with the customer engagement, that why that delay was occurred, and we should not take it as a casual delay. It's alarming delay because that delays exceed from 50 days to 60 days plus, and the portfolio level gets a delinquency over there. Thank you.
Well, we said a lot about the dynamic customer segmentation. I give you example of our approach. We try to look at the client delinquency from the perspective of what's the reason for that. From first glance at me, it looks like, okay, it's just short in money, but behind this, there are a lot of sometimes very complex life situation. Lost job, new family, marriage, death, some movement, holidays, schools, a lot of. And we try to segment our clients based on what happened in their life and how we can help them proceed in these hard times. This gives us a huge opportunity not only collect from the clients, but also build much more loyalty from their side, because we not push them, not punish them, but we try to understand what's happened in their life right now and help them to pass together with us. With the reason how the collection can not only give you much more P&Ls, but also to build much more loyalty and return your clients to your company. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, guys. I hope you had an enriching session, and with our esteemed panelists, it was a learning experience for you. Leaving you just with two thoughts. One, as the panel mentioned, customer segmentation is the core. And the second big thing is getting everything about the customer. It is not about when the customer goes to collections, get to know what happened. It is about knowing every interaction with the customer, whether it is on legal, field, underwriting, when the customer was acquired, where was the customer met. So having the entire information about the customer makes it very, very powerful. Thank you, guys.
Anyone, if you have any queries, any questions, feel free.
No question means the panel was not very good. It was good. I think, yeah, thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Saleh Al-Anizi, head of collection in Alma Bank. Actually, I want to share a brief of my experience. For the 28 years experience in banking, retail banking, almost many of them in 23 years in credit. I was a retail credit head. When I moved to collection, I was disappointed because I thought that's downgrade. But really, it's a magnificent challenge. The story here that nobody is listening from customer. Sales want to reach his target, his main concern. Collector or agent who starts to get incentive. Nobody is listening from customer. Nobody. Our speech is here is, mashallah. But do we have time to look for each customer to analyze? Do our agents listen to our customers? Do they have time to find solution for him? Do they review his bureau? Do they listen to him? Nobody's listening. Just pay this. My target is the incentive. Sales, his target, monthly target to also to achieve or to get his incentive. Nobody's listening to customer. I have a story with a customer. In a daily basis, he came to head office. He wanted to meet with the CEO. In a daily basis, nobody's listening to him. Finally, everybody from our team went to meet this customer. No solution for it. When I came, they called me. Just this customer is bothering us. He want to meet the CEO. First impression, he have a skin issue. So the issue that our team, when they came to meet him, nobody is shaking his hand. This is the issue number one. When I came to him, I sit near to him, I take his hand, put it here. He's like a baby because I'm listening from him. What do you want? And this was the last time he came to meet us. So we have to listen from our customer, understand, be in his side, not focusing in sin only. So this is the main issue with our agents. They are focusing in sin. It doesn't matter, customer. The only matter is just pay me the one installment. That's all. So this I want to share with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.